Hi, this is Glenn Crothers from the Louisville Jazz Society, and it's my pleasure to talk to saxophonist Jacob Duncan tonight. Jacob will be leading a trio at the next Louisville Jazz Society Signature Series concert, which takes place on Sunday, October 27th at 7 p.m. at the Cafe. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me tonight, Jacob.
Oh man, thanks a lot, Glenn. Definitely for your patience. So
Well, technology gets us all sometimes. You played and recorded in a lot of different configurations. You played with the Afrobeat group, the Afrophysicists, with genre-defying collective, the Liberation Prophecy, with Gabe Evans' Potassium Man group, as a side man for everyone from Bonnie Prince Billy to Carly Johnson to Rachel Grimes to Tyrone Cotton, and I could go on because there's a long list of people you played with. What I wanted to know was, how did you decide to play in a more intimate trio setting for the LJS show on October 27th? How'd you reach the conclusion this is how you wanted to play for us?
that's a good question. I think that I really just thought that I just wanted to get more intimate, and I I guess over the years just just want to kind of tell stories in a different way, and I've always wanted to do that. So I feel like that through the things that I've been able to do and really been blessed with. It's always been telling stories in different ways. I've got to play with many different people in different genres and different settings, and for me, it's a challenging thing, to be very intimate in this improvisational setting. So I think that's why I chose to do that. And also, I love Gabe and I love Chris. So I
Or can you
know,
talk a little bit about the trio? Like you're playing with
yeah,
Gabe Evans on piano and Chris Fitzgerald on bass, right?
yeah. So I got to play with Gabe and on a couple recordings, one of mine, I think a couple of his, and he's just a beautiful person. And we get together and have coffee sometimes, and we play duets. And I think that's part of it too. It's just trying to make things as conversational as possible. And with Chris, I've known him for so many years, and we've man, so many different settings. We played duets, trio. We've played the knock bar for probably 10 years, and it was pretty slamming.
Yeah.
But I guess as I'm getting older, I just want to. I like that challenge of just being able to tell a simple story if I can in a musical setting. I guess maybe in some ways it's the music and the storytelling became or have become more sacred in a sense as I'm getting older, and I want to treat it in such a way.
Huh. So, what's the decision behind not to have a drum set? You're no drummer in this.
Um, well, maybe it was hard to get hold of drums. Drums
Just pure
sometimes,
logistics.
I mean, yeah, sometimes that's the case, and sometimes it's the case that you know, uh, you're not looking for a certain style. I'm not trying to do a certain style of music. I'm really trying to have conversations in an intimate fashion, musically, with my friends, and also tell stories that are very close to me. Some of these songs that we're going to be playing are originals. And also, I'm interested in not only, obviously hitting it hard if I can, but in this case, really just getting to that place where we can all be in a sacred space that might transport us somewhere that isn't so related to genre.
Right, right. So just a conversation, like pure
Yeah.
improvisation. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I've been lucky enough in this area and to grow up here and to learn from so many great musicians, but also to um, learn the language of improvisation through American music, which American jazz. But as you get a little bit older, and if you're still challenging yourself and everything, you're also you're continuing to find your voice. You're
Right.
continuing to develop your style of storytelling, and that might not always work out the way you want it to, but I believe in taking risks, taking chances, and that, you know, sometimes messing up is the best thing you can do. Yeah.
I like that. Well, you say you want to tell stories. So what kind of stories is the audience going to hear on October 27th?
Uh,
Let me phrase that another way. You called it stories, but songs. I mean,
Other
what are we going to?
songs, you know, I think, you know, I work with Will Oldham from Bonnie Prince Billy for a while now. And over the years, we've done things in different situations. And I remember we did a thing called Liberation Living Room. It was for children, but it was just wonderful. And I remember calling the songs tunes. And I said, "Oh, this tune," because it's a very jazz way of approaching, you know, what a song is. And he said, "Oh, this song." And I think from then on, I actually just thought of everything as a song. And as I've done some travels in different places, I just realized it's really just about trying to present songs in the most honest way you can. You know, I'm not trying to present a tune. I'm not trying to present a style necessarily at this point. I can do that if I need to. Everybody has to play their gigs, but when I get the chance to present um, where I am at in storytelling, that I really believe in the idea of the song.
Right. So did Chris and Gabe give you the opportunity to have that kind of exploration?
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe these guys are amazing. So both of them believe in the song, and they might have not come necessarily from the sense of playing with songwriters all the time that I've got to do, but in the sense of like the chamber-esque style of improvisation. So
Mm.
there's even in jazz, of course, there's the contrapuntal uh, way of playing. You have the figured bass, kind of, if you're going to classical music. In jazz, we just call it walking and swinging.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's not always going to be that way. And I think that with Chris and Gabe, I'm afforded the liberty to expand on the sense of phrasing. I definitely always believe that the bottom line in jazz is swing, but I'm not just trying to play jazz. I'm just trying to play an improvisation that connects some in some ways not just to America, in the sense that it also can connect to the global majority in some ways. I mean, got to travel a lot,
Right.
and I'm always playing jazz. Sometimes I'm playing with somebody who's playing North African double reed instruments, and they don't even know what jazz is, so it doesn't work the same, you know.
Right.
So you get that opportunity to kind of challenge yourself and really what storytelling is, and what your concept of sound and how you're, like I said before, really taking being sacred in the silence, finding the sacredness of song and improvisation, and decorating the silence in some ways.
Right. Right. It sounds like you guys doing this and finding those sounds, finding that that it's that conversation. There'd be a lot of playing off each other.
There is, and that's to me so much of the fun. We'll be playing some songs of mine, and some, you know, standards as well, um, that lend themselves to being able to have very conversational and contrapuntal development of melody and of line.
Right.
And when I say line, I really just mean conversation, because Chris and Gabe speak their way, and I get to speak my way, but I get to interact with the way they're speaking, just like anyone would interact with having a conversation with somebody else. But we've all kind of come through the tradition of jazz improvisation and American, our really to me, one of the best things that ever happened in America, which is jazz music.
Mm.
But the sense of how that connects to the rest of the world, I feel like jazz music connects to the rest of the world more than any other music. And I've found that in my travels. And I'm not saying that other musics don't. I'm just saying that there's something about it
Right.
that is very deep and special and sacred and respectful of the learning situation that you are always going to be in when you're with people that don't speak your actual language, but they speak the language of improvisation and uh, the language of storytelling.
Right. Sounds like, I mean, when I hear you talk, it sounds like there's something about playing improvisational music like jazz that you're right in the moment, and that there's that connection with the other musicians.
No doubt. I mean, I think that that's why you practice, really. You practice so your mediocre doesn't sound bad. You know, so when you're playing, when you're having a rough time, it still is somewhere and you can at least have some kind of conversation with someone else. But yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the case.
Yeah. So you're playing some standards, you're playing some originals. Are these originals on your already the two albums, the two great solo albums you have, or are there new tunes that we're going to hear for the first time?
Definitely really on this, I think that we're playing um songs from The Busker, which is
Yeah.
one with Craig Wagner, which is a dear friend and spirit, and also John Goldsby, which is probably one of I call him my father, my jazz father. He's just a wonderful person and absolutely uh, gave me a sense of the ethic and the work ethic and everything that you need to have to be able to grow in this music. So they're on that album, and then I think we might be playing a couple tunes from an album I did with which was a quintet, and I call it my jazz album, and that because it has more swing aspects to it, and that's with one of my dear friends, J.D. Allen, who was a basically played with Betty Carter and all these people. And we
Mm.
kind of basically, he lived in Cincinnati for probably 3 years. And while he was there, and this is in my 40s, so you never stop learning, that's for sure.
Mm.
I reached out to him, and he came down and played at the Knock Bar, and he's a monster musician. Obviously, if you know J.D. Allen, please, if you don't know him, please reach out and look into his music. He's played with everyone. Jack DeJohnette, he's played with, gosh, everybody, Lincoln Center, he's done the Vanguard and everything. But I'd go up there and we just practice, for 3 or 4 hours straight together.
Right. Right.
And he came and played on my quintet album, and there's some originals we might play from that album. So
Great. Great.
yeah.
Great. Sounds like it'd be a great selection of stuff. I'm looking forward to hearing it. So I gotta ask you about your alto sax sound. The only word I can use to describe it is inimitable. I mean, I've not heard anybody else who has your sound. You can go from, particularly on the Busker record, this lyrical and beautiful sounds, and then you can be uh, 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 flowing into brash and sort of in your face sounds and energetic, and there's that range of sounds. I just want to ask you a little bit about how you came to this sound, and has it evolved over time?
I mean, yeah, I mean, sound never stops, I mean, you're always trying to find and refine your sound. I don't think there's a time when you're like, oh, I got it,
Mhm.
and if you do feel that way, I would suggest you keep searching,
Right.
because there's just never no end to it. It's something I'll probably be doing till the end of my life. But it's also part of your personality in some ways. I've found that I have like you said, kind of a range of sound, pretty large range. Some people, and also it has to do with genre. I think some people are playing like in a certain genre, which limits as far as they can go with their sound. In my world, I've been able to play at whisper, and then play at a I can give myself a headache. But, but I try not to do that anymore because I'm getting older. But I would say that I'm trying to really just look for having as beautiful tone as I can have at this point. Before there's also to me a sense of protest in the sound
Mm,
that I think is very important. It's not just about always having a pretty sound. Sometimes it's about having a protest, and that protest has to do with maybe current circumstances in the world, or
right.
circumstances. You have to be present, in the world.
Yeah.
You have to be present in your community. You're not just trying to me, you're not trying to just reinvent a sound that happened 40 years ago. You're trying to create the most honest sound that you can in the environment that you're actually living. I don't live in the 40s, and a lot's happened since then, and a lot's happening right now in our community, definitely over the last years. I'm sure over the last decades, really, if we want to get into it. But those stories, I want to be present in my sound, and sometimes um, those are the sounds of protest. Sometimes those are the sounds of a whisper, and sometimes those are sounds of love and intimacy and um, growth
Celebration.
and celebration. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
As you talk again, I get this sense that part of the storytelling is the sound. It's not just the song. It's the sound as well that you're communicating through the song.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like I said before, just playing with sometimes just singers, it's a lot of it has to do with that I might play a song that stylistically might be called bebop, a ballad, something that's a little more folk, but it's still the sound is still me. And I
Right.
want to make sure that there's a continuity there, and I'm not just trying to play different styles of music. I've done that before. I mean, I can do that. It's something that I still have to do because as a working musician, I feel like you have to know different genres and things like that. But as an artist, I feel like you want to make sure that you have a continuity of sound in everything that you do and a continuity of storytelling. And I'm not saying that I have that. I'm saying that that's my goal.
It's the aspiration. Yeah.
That's the aspiration. Yes.
Yeah. But we get to
Yeah.
see some of the Louisville Jazz Giants playing on October 27th
Oh,
for
yes.
our
Yes.
signature series. So thanks so much for talking tonight, Jacob. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you about your music and about what you're doing. And remember, everybody, Jacob's trio will be playing with pianist Gabe Evans and bassist Chris Fitzgerald, rather, on Sunday, October 27th at 7 p.m. at the Cafe, again, as part of the Louisville Jazz Society Signature Series. It's going to be a great show, so get your tickets soon.
It'll be beautiful. Thank you so much, Glenn.
Thank you.